Greetings, this is Reese Tabor, and today we're going to be discussing Kenneth Burke's Dramatism. But before we do, I'd like to start with some thank yous. First, thank you to M. Griffin for the content in your lovely textbook. Thank you to Dr. Bailey for the use of your notes and slides from rhetorical theory class. And finally, thank you to Google Images, where I found lovely pictures like this one. Which leads us to our topic of discussion. A man by the name of Kenneth Burke created dramatism, or pentadic criticism, in the mid-1900s. Burke agreed with William Shakespeare in the idea that all the world's a stage. Life is not like a drama, life is a drama. Burke wanted to look at the big story and saw rhetorical acts of communication as human dramas. These dramas featured characters and settings and plots and many things that resembled our idea of drama in theater. Now, this is different from narrative criticism. A narrative is a story told within a piece of rhetoric or communication. A dramatistic analysis defines the whole communication action as a drama itself. Dramatism contains three key aspects: identification, the pentad, and guilt restoration. First, identification. People are inherently divided by socioeconomic structures, culture, geography, and countless other factors. However, people use language to bridge the gaps and create identification. Burke stated that identification is compensatory to division, meaning that the understanding of common ground between speaker and audience creates connection. So the more people identify, the less they divide. However, people may also use language to create divisions where unity has existed, for example, politics. Dramatism makes a distinction between action and motion. Motion is autopilot. Action is a higher order. We use rhetorical action and communication to overcome our differences. Burke also stated that human beings use language to accomplish things like action, and we are essentially symbol-using animals. The second aspect of dramatism is the dramatistic pentad. Burke regarded persuasion as the communicator's attempt to get the audience to accept his or her position or view of reality. The pentad was the tool Burke devised to analyze how the communicator tried to persuade an audience using 5 different elements. Act, what was done or accomplished via language. Agent, who or what did it. Agency, how did they do it. Purpose, why did they do it? And scene, where did they do it? These aspects are very similar to the journalistic questions of who, what, when, where, why, and how. Here's an example of the pentad that Dr. Bailey used in his rhetoric class. A 2004 White House photograph of President Bush holding a gun while dove hunting. The act is President Bush, a hunter. The agent is himself. The agency is a staged photo, and the purpose is to suggest that Bush must be sympathetic to hunters or gun owners. And the scene is an outdoors and during an election year. In each drama, Burke points to the importance of the pentadic ratios. Essentially, which parts of the pentad are most important. In the Bush photo, scene and agency are probably the most significant, with agency being a staged photograph and scene being outdoors during an election year. And finally, guilt restoration. Burke was convinced that all public speaking is motivated to purge ourselves of some sort of guilt. Guilt being a catch-all term applying to tension, anxiety, embarrassment, shame, etc. Essentially, guilt redemption is the root of all rhetoric and communication. This guilt can be purged and redemption attained by mortification or victimage, either blaming ourselves or blaming others for our guilt. Dramatism has several strengths and several weaknesses. First, with its strengths. Burke and dramatism provided a great deal of advances to a field of study that many people thought was already complete. Using dramatism also helps discover a human motivation, in particular pieces of rhetoric or communication, that other methods may fail to discover. Using the pentadic framework, critics are able to discover and analyze more than one piece of communication at the same time, if they so choose. And finally, Using Dramatism, it provides an incredibly detailed analysis of any communication artifact. And several weaknesses. It's sometimes difficult to label the different components of the pentab, because it's highly subjective. For example, what someone might consider as the purpose, someone else might see as the scene. Burke's motivations for redemptions are also subject to disagreement because of the religious overtones attached to it and the division of religious beliefs in the academic community. Also, this method lends itself to be a cookie-cutter approach, where everyone can just slap the pentab on a given artifact the exact same way 100 other people have. Overall, though, through the lens of life as drama and the whole world as a stage, Burke's theory of dramatism, with the key aspects of identification, the pentab, and guilt restoration, ultimately provides scholars with an incredibly useful tool. There's Burke's Dramatism. Thanks for watching.